Modern dating feels broken because it is. If you're a guy constantly getting ghosted or overlooked, you're not the problem. The system is. And today, we're exposing the brutal truth behind why connection has quietly become a crisis. Let's start with something that might sting a little. You've been set up to fail. Not because you messed up, but because from the moment you were born male in this modern world, the game was already rigged. Those classic roles, being the provider, the protector, the rock, used to mean something. They gave men purpose, structure. But today, society doesn't value those things the same way anymore. And when those roles disappeared, nobody gave you new ones to replace them. So now, a lot of men are just floating. No clear direction, no clear identity. And it's not just about romance, it's bleeding into everything. In 1990, only 3% of men said they didn't have close friends. Fast forward to now, that number has exploded to 15%. And for men under 30, it gets worse. Almost 1 in 3 say they don't have a single close social connection. That's not just loneliness, that's a slow, quiet kind of collapse. It's what happens when men are emotionally starved in a world that doesn't even realize they're starving. But here's where it gets even darker. Modern guys are trapped in what I call the masculinity paradox. Half of men say they feel pressure to be the strong, silent type. Stoic, unshakable, the kind of man who never cries and never complains. But at the same time, society's out here demanding vulnerability, emotional intelligence, empathy, softness, so now you're expected to be strong but gentle, confident but not arrogant, dominant but also emotionally available and safe. It's a psychological tug of war, and guess what? No matter which side you lean into, you lose. That kind of mental whiplash doesn't just confuse men, it breaks them, slowly, quietly, and from the inside out. Here's something simple you can do right now. Grab a piece of paper and write down 3 things you feel like you have to do in order to be a real man. Whatever comes to mind first, we're going to come back to that, and then we're going to tear those expectations down, because they're not yours. They were handed to you, and it's time to let go. Let me drop a number on you that might break your brain a little. Tinder, 60 million users, nearly $2 billion in revenue last year. That's not a matchmaking service. That's a loneliness machine with a price tag. These apps weren't made to help you fall in love. They were made to keep you swiping. Every motion, left-right match message, it's all tapping into the dopamine loop in your brain, the same one responsible for addiction. You're not addicted to people, you're addicted to possibility. The next swipe, the next maybe, the next she might be the one. But most of the time, she's not. The longer you're on these platforms, the more you start to see people as profiles, not humans, just photos and blurbs to scroll through and discard. You end up comparing everyone, ranking everyone, including yourself. Nearly half of online daters have used Tinder, but long-term success barely exists. This is a casino where the house always wins. You just keep paying, emotionally and financially, for the chance to feel wanted. But if dating apps mess with your expectations, there's something else that quietly wrecks your capacity for connection. Let's talk about porn. This isn't just about morality, it's about brain chemistry. Studies show that between 86% and 96% of men consume porn regularly. And it's not harmless, it's rewiring your brain. You start expecting fantasy, you get turned on by control, by perfection, by things no real woman can or should live up to. And when do you meet someone real, with needs, emotions, boundaries? Your brain doesn't know what to do because you've trained it to respond to fantasy, not intimacy. Men who watch more porn report lower relationship satisfaction, higher emotional detachment, and higher divorce rates. You're reaching for comfort, but you're building distance. Start here. Track how often you watch porn for 1 week. No shame, just data. You can't break free from a trap you won't even admit you're in. And beneath all this, there's the emotional lockdown most men live in every day. Over 60% of men feel like they can't talk about mental health, sex, or vulnerability. You're taught to be tough, silent, strong, but emotional unavailability? That's the #1 reason relationships fail today. Women aren't asking for perfection. They're asking for presence. But if no one taught you how to feel, how can you expect to connect? Let's talk about the silent addiction no one wants to admit. Validation. Most people spend over 2 hours a day on social media, not learning, not connecting, just scrolling, waiting for likes, for comments, for something, anything to say, hey, you matter. For men, this is especially brutal. You start measuring your worth by how people respond to you. Did she heart the story? Did he like the gym selfie? Did anyone notice me today? Over time, your confidence doesn't come from who you are, it comes from what you get. And when that spills over into dating, it gets toxic fast. You walk into relationships already needing approval. You crave it. Beg for it sometimes without even realizing it. That energy? Women can smell it a mile away, needy, desperate, off-putting. The more you chase validation, the less attractive you become. It's a trap, a loop. You become hooked on quick dopamine hits from strangers while losing the real substance that makes you magnetic in the first place: authentic self-worth. Try this. Delete one social media app for the next 7 days. Just one. Then notice how many times you instinctively reach for it. That moment of pause, that's where the work begins. That's where your real power is. Now let's talk about something a lot of guys carry quietly: approach anxiety. You're not just nervous about talking to women, you're afraid. Studies show up to 60% of college-age men experience serious anxiety when it comes to opposite-sex interactions. This isn't just butterflies. This is full-blown panic, and it's not rare. 3 out of 4 guys have avoided relationships because of fear of rejection. That's huge. You'd rather stay single than risk hearing no. But that fear, it's not just about her saying no. It's about what that no confirms for you. Let's talk about the commitment paradox. That all you want is sex. Fast, casual, no strings attached. Research says otherwise. Despite what pop culture shouts from every rooftop, most men aren't out here trying to sleep with every woman they see. In fact, hookup culture is quietly wrecking guys just as much as it's wrecking women. Studies show that even in college, the supposed hookup capital, many men use casual sex to feel emotionally close, even if it only lasts for a night. That's not a disconnection. That's desperation for some kind of connection in a system that's designed to avoid it. And the system, it tells you that wanting more makes you weak, that craving closeness or love is somehow unmanly. That's the real damage. It's not that hookup culture has no feelings, it's that it pretends feelings don't exist, and it's making men miserable. Here's the reality nobody talks about. Over half of singles didn't have sex in the last 12 months. Here's the hard truth. The modern dating crisis isn't your fault, but healing from it? That's on you. They're present. Emotionally agile. Real. They've traded alpha energy for emotional leadership. And it's working. You don't need to perform masculinity. You need to embody it. Not with bravado, but with authenticity, vulnerability, emotional clarity. That's not a weakness. That's power. So here's your next step. Choose one person in your life today, friend, parent, sibling, and open up. Say something honest about how you're actually doing. Not fine, not busy, real. And then watch how that one moment shifts the entire relationship. Because the path forward isn't about becoming someone else. It's about coming back to who you were before the world told you to hide. The dating crisis is real. The psychological traps are everywhere. But now that you see them, you're no longer powerless. Everything you've struggled with, feeling inadequate, emotionally stuck, addicted to validation, it's not because you're broken, it's because you were raised in a system that taught you to disconnect from your real self. But here's the good news. What's been programmed can be reprogrammed. You don't have to become an alpha. You don't have to play games. You just have to stop performing and start becoming the version of you that's real. The man who leads with presence, with emotional depth, with quiet, grounded strength. Start there. Tomorrow morning, look yourself in the mirror and ask, who am I when I'm not trying to impress anyone? That version of you, that authentic man, is the one people are dying to meet and the one you've been needing to become. If this message hits you, don't let it fade away. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. because there's a whole generation of men waking up, and you could be the reason one of them finally breaks free. Your story doesn't end here. It begins now.